Hello, welcome back to my office with all of my yarn, my own personal yarn store. We are going to be doing something a little different currently. So I think this entire video is going to be kind of a mashup of a bunch of different crafty things that I have been doing lately. I feel like this week has been just really a week of dabbling in a bunch of different crafts and doing a bunch of fun things, and some not so fun things, I guess, because I am frogging a sweater. So that's what we're going to be working on shortly here. I, for a long time, considered things that I knit to be final, right? Like if I knit a sweater, even if it didn't fit, if it was too big or too small, probably hear beeping. That's the coffee machine. Even if a sweater was way too big or way too small, it didn't matter. It was never going to get frogged because I spent all of that time knitting it. So why would I rip it apart? I have changed my mind on how I feel about those things, because what is the point in spending all of our time doing a craft that we love to turn around and not be able to use that knitted item? There are some things I will give away to like family or friends, or I'll donate. Like if I knit a hat and it turns out too big or too small, or I don't like how the colors turned out in that hat, I'll donate it. I have no problems with that. Or I'll find someone who enjoys that color combo, or that color looks good on them. My blue chair is my cat's favorite scratching post. So that whole, you can't see it. I can't get myself to turn around all the way. I'm stuck on my rug. That whole corner is like scratched to death. But I generally don't see a strong reason to keep knitted things or crocheted things or whatever it happens to be in their entirety, in their finished state, if I'm never going to use it, if I don't like how the pattern turned out, if I don't like the color combo I used, if it doesn't fit well. What is the point when you could frog it, reclaim that yarn, and knit it into something that you're really gonna love? So the sweater that we're dealing with today, oh, my lighting is real weird. Let me see if I can adjust my angle a little. I'm just on my phone, so let's see if we can move some. Oh man, nope. Okay, so I'm gonna insert footage here. Like here, I'll put some pictures of this sweater in its finished entirety. This is I think it's called the Flora sweater. This is by, oh my gosh, why am I blanking so hard right now? Melody Hoffman. B Mandarins is her like Ravelry, and I think her Instagram tag, her patterns are so, they're so classic, and I love them. And so I knit this. Oh, you can kind of see the texture when I lean back a little. So it's just a textured sweater. It's lots of slip stitches, slipping stitches over other stitches. It's a really nice texture, and you can't see it because of the lighting situation we have currently. There are slip stitches like around the wrist. It creates, and the cuff is really long. It creates a really nice texture on your forearm and wrist. I knit this way too small. Like I thought I was knitting the right size, and it turned into a situation where when I'm supposed to have 0 to 1 positive ease, which is 0 to 1 inches, the same inches or 1 inch larger than my bust circumference, I ended up with like -3 inches of ease, and it's very tight and very uncomfortable, and I do not like it. I like the pattern. I don't like the fit of the sweater. And I don't remember how much I started with. I've got 2 full skeins and this leftover ball of yarn. This sweater is knit out of Cloudborn fibers, which I'm pretty sure they no longer exist, in their Highland worsted, the plum heather color. So it's 100% Highland wool, but it's not like scratchy and weird. It's this really nice, like high twist 2-ply. I'll try to put in a little bit of footage of the yarn. So I'll add in footage of the yarn and the sweater that I currently have prior to frogging it. But this is such nice yarn. Now I'm actually gonna grab it off of my shelf really quick. I have this sweater, which is the Seasons sweater by Ozetta. This is knit out of mohair held double with Plotulopi, and it's Oliver, stop. It's, what is the texture? Oh, fisherman's rib. It's fisherman's rib in the round, and I love it so much. It might even be half fisherman's rib. I'm pretty sure it's half fisherman's rib, and it's one of my favorite sweaters. I love the size, I love the fit, I love the drape. Sorry, my cat was trying to attack my doorstop, and it was very loud. I think this is going to be, I'm going to knit this purple yarn into another one of these sweaters because I just like the fit so much. So I'm going to frog this purple sweater, and I'm going to take you along for that process because it's kind of tedious, but I feel like nobody talks about taking things apart. And I hope this can inspire you to just like frog a thing that doesn't work for you. If it is not a resounding yes, it's a no. And this sweater is a no, and it needs to be frogged so I can turn it into something else beautiful. And so I hope that by like me ripping this apart, you feel comfortable maybe ripping a sweater apart that you knit, or ripping a shawl apart that you don't like the colors, or like just getting it out of your stash of finished stuff. I have started making a pile of knitted things that I don't think I want to frog. Like I think someone else might love them, but I'm either going to like destash them online or literally just take them to my local secondhand store and hopefully be able for someone else to like enjoy them and give those knitted things a second life. So here we go. Let's frog a sweater. Good morning. It is Sunday. Yesterday I talked to you a little bit about frogging sweaters or shawls or socks or whatever it is that you knit that you end up not liking. Because I don't believe in just keeping things on a shelf because you took the time to make them. If you don't love them, either find a new home for them or frog them and reuse the yarn. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing a lot today. We have bread going in the oven, so my house is starting to smell like fresh sourdough. We are frogging this sweater, which we are going to wind up onto this ball winder. I think we might also cast on a couple things today. We might go crazy. We'll see what happens. So what we're gonna do with this sweater is, wow, my table is really dirty. Sorry about that. I didn't realize how dirty and disgusting this table was. So I'm gonna start at the sleeves because they're kind of the easiest thing to get unraveled. Now, I've already started this process on this sleeve right after I had talked to you yesterday, but then I got bored. And so then I stopped doing it, and I went and sat on the couch and worked on a project that I had already cast on. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're going to find your end that you wove in, and you're gonna unpick it. I use a darning needle. I don't know if this, yeah, you can see that's fine. I'm gonna use a darning needle, and I usually just find wherever the end is, and I'm gonna find it on this sleeve. So you find where you wove in your end, which, go me, I wove this in really well. It's kind of hard to find. So I just found where the end was, and I'm gonna like just fish around with my needle for a second until I can find the actual like end of the yarn. Because once you pull on it, it will pop out. If you weave your ends in really well, it's kind of hard to find where that is. But once you get it, you can start unraveling. Where is this end is the question. Oh, okay. So here we are. Found that end. So then what I do is I just unweave that end in its entirety. And sometimes it really just takes pulling on it a little to see where all it's looped through. I kind of haphazardly weave my ends, so they're kind of everywhere. And sometimes I just kind of pull on my knitting a little. I mean, your yarn can take it. Like, your yarn can take you pulling on it to get these ends out. In worst case, if this end that you've woven frays a tiny bit, you just cut that off when you go to knit it again. The world is not going to end. Okay. All right, we are almost there. See, now we have a whole string. Okay. My dog is gonna drink water now, of course. Okay, so now that he's done drinking water, which is just horribly unnecessary while I'm trying to film stuff. So I now have this end here, and before hooking it to the ball winder, you need to unpick your cast off or your bind off edge. And based on this bind off, I don't know what I used, but it's not a regular bind off. So it's just gonna take me a second to unpick this, and then we're gonna hook it up to the ball winder. Okay, so it took 8 years, and then I had to go yell at my dog for licking the couch, because you know, that's what you do, it's fine. So once you have your entire thing unwound, what I usually do is I just take it and plop it on here. The ball winder is from Knit Picks. So I just make sure everything else kind of stays out of the way. And I just wind it up on here. And so usually, sometimes I pull a little bit of this if I feel like it's getting caught. And then I just keep going. Because this is loud, I am gonna just like put music over this because that's real annoying. It's annoying me, so I imagine it's annoying you. Naturally going to stop when you hit your other ends that you wove in, like your armpit ends that you wove in. So then once it stops, I go ahead and kind of use the same process that I did for the sleeve. Dig around in there until I find the woven end that's gonna pop out. Sometimes it just takes like wiggling your yarn around a little bit to get it to go. I can see it, I know which one it is. I know where the end is, I just can't figure out which part of the yarn it's attached to. So now this end is good to go. So typically, what I will do next is I will pick this cuff out, and I'll actually magic knot these together. I don't mind having magic knots in my sweaters, and this is going to be turned into a different sweater. And so, I think I talked about that yesterday. I'm gonna make the season sweater by Ozetta. And so I don't care if these are tied together. So I'm gonna tie this sleeve yarn to the yarn that we just wound on here, and also wind this one up, and then I'll do the same exact thing to the body. And so we're gonna get this entire thing frogged. Yay for new life. Okay, so my second sleeve is on here, and now that I got both sleeves on here, I'm actually going to pull this ball off. Because I don't know, I can't remember how many skeins I used on the body. And so I have a feeling if I wind off all of this onto here, it might be like two full skeins. And I want to be able to have this space. And if I tied it to the words, what are my words today? If I tied it to the ball that had the skeins from the sleeves, I don't think we would be able to fit everything on there. So we're gonna do it this way instead. And so we're gonna do the same exact process where we find the end, we dig around in here until it pops out, and then we're gonna unwind this too. I'm really excited to cast on a new sweater. So I'm traveling on Wednesday, going to a conference in Salt Lake City, and I'm trying to decide what I want to take for my airplane knitting, because I will be on a plane for a very long time. I'm kind of thinking I might cast on a Musselburgh hat, which I've knit many of. I'm also kind of thinking I might cast on this sweater that I really want to knit. Oh, hey, there's the end. I was yanking on it the whole time and it just wasn't moving. I think I might cast on this sweater. I also may or may not cast on another DK weight classic ribbed hat, because I have learned over, I don't know, the last short period of time, maybe the last like 6 to 8 months, that while I love and admire all of the like super cool knitting patterns that exist out in the world, I like simple. The patterns I like the best are the ones that are just like really basic ribbing. They are stockinette. Sometimes they have these really nice repetitive textures like fisherman's rib. I a lot of times don't love the really busy. I don't like using 18 colors in a shawl. I don't love a lot of color work patterns. I don't want something that has like really complicated stitches where I have to like stare at the pattern the whole time I knit it. I lose interest. I really enjoy knitting for its repetitive nature. Wow, this yarn pool. But for its repetitive nature, just the soothing that you can find in like repeating the same stitch over and over and over and over. That's what I enjoy the most. Oh, picking out the end of this is going to be, maybe I did a regular bind off down here. So I think I did like a ribbed bind off on the sleeves because I was trying to, oh, thank God. Okay, this is a regular bind off. So this one you can just pull. My sleeves I had to pick out because of the kind of bind off I used. I don't remember what the pattern called for, but I think I just followed the pattern and I had to pick out every stitch. This, I'm just able to yank it, which thank God. Okay. But what I was saying is I really enjoy like the simplicity of knitting and the simplicity of a ribbed pattern or like a stockinette pattern, or something with a really mindless meditative pattern like fisherman's rib, even brioche sometimes. Like I love like a single color or a double color brioche pattern. And I think it's just that repetitive nature that really gets me. So when it comes to like choosing patterns in general and then also choosing patterns for travel, I've noticed that I've been gravitating towards the same patterns kind of over and over again. So I've knit a lot of Musselburghs. All of my socks are vanilla socks, and I knit a lot of socks. I'm on like a sock hiatus though. Socks got me through the end of my degree, and so I'm sort of on a break from them. I think like in the last 6 months of my degree, I knit like 15 pairs or something stupid like that. It was the only thing I could pick up and knit, like literally the only thing. So I've knit a bunch of Musselburghs lately. I've knit a bunch of the classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. I've already knit one of the season sweater and I want another one. So I'm finding myself kind of finding patterns that are simple and classic and comfortable and meditative and going for those over and over and over again. And I don't mind it. So I think that'll probably be my plain knitting. I also recently started, I don't remember what it's called right now. I started a 2x2 fingering weight ribbed hat. I keep wanting to say sock head hat, and that's wrong. It's not that. It's something else. I'll have to find the pattern, and maybe I can like put a picture here of what the pattern looks like. So I started that with fingering weight yarn, so I've got that going too. But yeah, so we're gonna wind up this body and call it a day. I mentioned that I might get to put broccoli and kale and cabbages and Brussels sprouts in the garden soon. So I wanted to clarify a little bit about the indicators I use, I guess, in order to decide that. And so typically you want to make sure, even though broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, like all the brassicas, they're frost tolerant. So if like it got frosted over, it likely would not kill them. They would be okay. But you don't really want to put those things out in your garden when it's going to be frosty all of the time, and it's when it's going to consistently freeze overnight, because they're not going to have time to establish and like take off at all when they're constantly being frozen. So typically the guideline that I use, and this is what I learned from Jess from Roots of Refuge, and I think a lot of people kind of follow this rule, is everybody has a last frost date, which you can find on the internet. If you just Google your zip code and the words last frost date, the Farmer's Almanac typically is what I use, and they'll calculate dates for you that will tell you when your last frost date is. Ours is April 15th this year. That date is typically the sign of, okay, you should be safe to put everything out in your garden that you want to. The other sign you can use is look at your 10-day forecast, and if you, for 10 days, don't have any nights that are 32 and below, you should probably be good to put stuff out. Right now, if I look at the forecast today for the next 7, we have, I think, one day that's 32 degrees for the low, and that is like at the end of that 7 days. So if the next 3 days after that are above 32 degrees, I feel pretty comfortable popping my cold, hardy stuff outside. So we might get to put broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, cauliflowers out in the garden, and kale and spinach, those would go out too. And I would probably sow some lettuce, because you all saw the mess that is the lettuce in the starter tray right now. So that will probably be something that I just direct seed into the garden, because that was a waste of space. It's okay though. You live and you learn, and I got overly excited. I did better this year than last year though. Last year I started an unbelievable number of things way too early, and my plants were ginormous by the time they needed to go outside. So that was its own extra problem that I had. A couple of updates on some of the other crafty things that I've done, that you'll have seen video of already. The spinning that I put in a couple short clips of is turning out to look like this. Is it gonna focus? It's not focusing entirely, so you can't see like exactly how nice and thin it is. Maybe I'll put some extra footage over me talking about it. But I feel really proud of how thin and consistent this spinning is. So this is a merino nylon blend, which I'm really hoping to ply. So this is the this is the first bobbin, that's half of the braid. So I started with a 4-ounce braid, split it in half, and so half is going on here and half is, I'm working it on the bobbin right now, and then I'll apply them together. I spin on an Ashford Kiwi 3, I think. It's a double treadle. I spin for the sake of like spinning and relaxation. I don't know exactly what methods I use. I just do it. I was actually on, small plug for the Discord that I'm a part of. It's run by Christine, who goes by Christine Parker Co. I'll put it here. Go check out her Instagram page. You can join her Patreon and be a part of her Discord, and it's great. It's just like full of crafters, and we all talk to each other all day, every day, and it's so much fun. Last night, we had a craft night where everybody got on and we just did crafts, and so I decided to use that time to spin. And so I got through just over a quarter of the braid, which is really nice. So I did I think I did like 1.5 ounces of spinning. And I love this so much. I'm so excited to see this turned into socks. These colors are gorgeous. And so yeah, I'll put in a little bit of extra footage so you can see the colors. I have not cast on the sweater that I frogged that yarn for. If you can see, oh, this is working backwards and I don't know how to get my hand to do what I want. this yarn right here, that's the needle to cast that on. And I won't be doing that for a little bit, probably another week or so. I realized I am traveling later this week. There's no way I am gonna cast on a sweater that is half fisherman's rib and take that traveling. I feel like that's gonna be asking just for me to have a stressful time. So what I did instead was I cast on a new Musselburgh, and this makes me so happy. This is in Knit Picks Felici. It's like Cheshire Grin or something. Actually, let me see. I have another bowl over here. Yes, Cheshire Grin, Knit Picks Felici. It does not want to focus. Hello? No? Okay, that's okay. So this is just their fingering weight, and it's making the cutest stripes. I love it. I'm also probably casting on another hat because I'm kind of on a hat kick right now. I think I'm going to cast on another classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho out of some yarn from Knits for Comfort. Jen from Knits for Comfort. She dyed up a yarn a while ago called like Dark and Moody or something, and it's just like it's colorful speckles, but there's like all of these black and gray speckles, and it's very pretty. It's not gonna, the light's not letting it show up. I tried. So once I get that working up into a hat, I'll also show you that. So yeah, this is a little bit of garden, a little bit of crafting. This is kind of just taking over my life in a really good way. I met with a friend for coffee this weekend, and she was saying like how much she loves getting to see all of the crafty, like creative endeavors that I end up on, and how there are so many bits and pieces that I engage in on a day-to-day. There are all of these crafty fun things, and I love it. It's so much fun. It's nice to have options for things that I want to do that bring me joy. And I hope that, you know, in some way this is inspiring you to either like pick up a garden or pick up a craft. And yeah, we'll be back. It might be a couple weeks between videos because of the traveling. I'll be knitting on an airplane. That's basically it. There will be not a whole lot of extra crafty things in between all of that. So that's probably where it is. It'll be a couple weeks. If there's any crafty things you're ever curious about, you have any questions about the garden, please always let me know. I will put my Instagram handles down in the description box. My Etsy shop for my hand-dyed yarn will also be down in the description box. I appreciate you coming along for all of these fun, crafty gardening adventures, and I will see you all the next time. Bye.